All right, recording is started.
All right, 7:36. Okay. Good evening, fellow commissioners and the general public. My name is Michael Champness, and I'm the chair, excuse me, of the Transportation Advisory Commission. Before we begin, please note that this meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the county website and on YouTube. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically and to effectuate both the emergency procedures authorized by new state legislation and FOIA, the Transportation Advisory Commission needs to make certain findings and determinations for the record. It is a bit cumbersome, so I ask you in advance for your patience. First, because each member of the commission is participating in this meeting from a separate location, we must verify that a quorum of members is participating and that each member's voice is clear, audible, and at an appropriate volume for all of the other members. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear each of your colleagues. I'm asking each commission member participating in this meeting to state your name and location from which you're participating when I mention your name. At large, Linda Sperling.
Hello, I am participating from my home in scenic Clifton, Virginia.
Fantastic. Braddock District, Kevin Morse.
From Burke, Virginia.
Fantastic. Drainesville District, I am here. Hunter Mill District, Kelly Westenhoff. Okay, don't hear Kelly. Roger Hoskin, Mason District.
I have more trouble with this. Microsoft.
I think you can hear us, Roger.
God, I can't stand it.
Roger, can you hear us?
No.
Is that a cry for help, or is that a cry that you can't hear us? Okay.
I don't think he can hear us.
I don't think so. Roger, we can't hear you. Is he muted still? Can you hear us, Roger? Does not appear to be.
He is not muted.
Yeah, we did hear. That's right. We did hear him there. So I tell you what. Let's go through the rest of the roster and see if Roger can hear us in a minute here. So Mount Vernon District, Pete Sitnick. Oh, sorry, we couldn't read that, Pete. You have to back up a little bit, I think. Pull it back or forward. I don't know. Sorry, I can't see it.
What?
There you go.
I can't hear you. And I can see you. And I can.
No, we can hear you now.
I can't hear you.
You need to put on your headphone.
Yeah, well, I did, and it still wasn't working.
Roger, can you hear? Are they plugged
I can
in?
hear you on the phone. I can't hear anything through my headphones.
They plugged in. You check the connection.
Damn piece of crap from Microsoft.
No.
Roger, we are recording the audio.
Good. Record this.
Can you hang up and log in again, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Calvin. Okay.
Don't know if you heard me, but Pete Sitnick, I'm in Mount Vernon District at my computer.
Can't hear you there. I can hear you, Pete.
Okay.
Okay. Lee District, Alexis Glenn. I think she's going to be a little late. Okay. See if she joins us in a little bit. Providence District, Jeremy Hancock.
Hey, Jeremy Hancock in Falls Church.
Fantastic. Welcome. Springfield District, Eric Thiel. Okay, down here, Eric. Sully District, David Skiles. Okay. Fairfax Area Disability Services Board, Mary Pauline Jones.
Don't hear a thing.
I'm here from the town of Herndon.
Okay. All right. And Roger still can't hear us. Now his screen is frozen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we have a quorum with 6. Or do we? I think 1, 2, 3, 4. With Roger, if we can get him connected, that'll be 7. So, Calvin, can you remind me what the quorum is here? Let's see, 1, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We're at 6 and 5. So I believe we've got a quorum.
Mhm.
I know Alexis, like I said, I think she's going to join us in a little bit later. Roger, we'll keep hoping you can hear us here. We're gonna go forward, and so we'll try and hopefully that can get fixed. Okay.
I wonder if Roger should just dial in and do a phone connection and.
Or put your phone up next. Just dial in exactly, or have a conversation with Calvin's phone or something, because I think he can hear us then. I don't know if he can hear what we're doing. Do we have the phone connection there, Calvin? In fact, I'm going to be reading it here in a little bit. You can calling. In fact, tell you what, we're not supposed to use the chat, but Calvin, can you put the phone number to dial for Roger into the chat there?
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
But I think we have a quorum. We only need 6 then.
Yeah. So, but we'll.
Well,
See.
I will talk to Roger.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay, all right. Okay, we've got 6. We have our quorum. So at this point, I will pass the virtual gavel to Vice Chair Mary Pauline Jones so that I may heard to be made the requisite motions.
Thank you. I accept the virtual gavel. I now recognize Commissioner Champness.
Thank you. I move that we have determined that all members but Roger's voice can be adequately heard by each other member of the commission. It is so moved.
You have heard the
Seconded.
motion. Is there a second? It is seconded. Is there discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Mr. Chairman, the motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. I next move that the state of emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe for this commission to physically assemble and unsafe for the public to physically attend any such meeting. I further move that this commission may conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated audio conferencing line, and that the public may access this meeting by the Microsoft Teams online platform or by calling 1-571-429-5982 and entering the phone conference ID 692-790-810. The phone number for ADA is 711. Access information is also available at the TAC website.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Roger, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us on?
No, I can't. Typical
You can hear
Microsoft.
me on the phone.
Roger suggests you use the dial-in line that I just, if you can, well.
Okay, I will. Roger, can you hang up, please?
The phone or the,
Yeah. All right. Okay.
the mic is open. I guess you can hear me.
Yes.
I
Well.
can't hear you.
Okay. Well, Calvin, if you can keep texting Roger to ask him to dial in, please. So access information is available at the TAG website. It is so moved.
Is there a second?
Well,
Second, Braddock.
Thank you. Is there discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Mr. Chairman, the motion is carried unanimously.
Fantastic. Finally, I move that all of the matters on the agenda previously furnished and posted on the TAC website are necessary for continuity in Fairfax County government and or are statutorily required or necessary to continue operations in the discharge of the Commission's lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities.
You have heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second, Braddock.
Is there discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Chairman, the motion is carried unanimously. I now give back the virtual gavel.
Thank you very much. We'll now start the tax business per the approved agenda. Okay. And so I have no remarks to start. We'll go ahead and dive into the meeting here. Would like to welcome our guests, obviously, Aline Santiago. She'll be talking in just a minute. I believe Martin Ortiz Gonzalez, I believe, is with us as well. I hope we'll see him. But also Shamali Hoff.
again.
Martin, pleased to meet you. Thank you for joining us. And also Shamali Hoth, I believe she's with us. She's going to try to be with us. I see a little SH circle. Is that you, ma'am? Obviously, many of you know Shamali. She's the transportation aide to Mr. Alcorn. So, and she was interested in this topic and helped bring it to our attention. So, I think what we'll do is we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the acceptance of previous meeting minutes. We have received minutes earlier. Did make one revision. People have had a chance to have a look at it. I'd be pleased to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Also move to Pete from Mount Vernon.
Okay. Any seconds?
Second.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor and seconded to approve the meeting minutes from March. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any adjustments or edits we need to make to the minutes as last sent out by Calvin? Okay. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Okay, hearing none, the motion is carried unanimously. The minutes from the March 15th meeting are now passed. So with that, we're a teeny bit ahead of schedule, and we'd like to welcome our guest for this evening.
Hello, Calvin.
So
Calvin.
let's do a check here. Roger, can you hear us yet?
Hello.
It doesn't sound like it. Okay. Calvin, can we call Roger and ask him to do this, please? I'm not sure he'll notice the text. There we go.
Hello, Calvin.
Yes.
No audio.
I'm sorry that you keep confirm.
Well, I got there for a minute and then it just zapped out again. It's Microsoft. What do you expect?
We can hear you very clear.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. You don't want to.
So is your headphone the only
Yes.
the headset the only thing that you have?
Yeah, I can't. And I'm trying to change what it is, and I thought I had it.
Please ask him to dial in
Letting me do
by
anything.
phone.
And
Another option is that I just sent you an email on calling by dial your phone.
yeah. All right. Let me see
Yeah,
if
and
I
then you
find
have
it.
to mute your headset. Yeah, that's
Well, it's already muted. All right.
yeah, you have
Okay.
to dial in.
Okay. Roger, if you could also,
Come on, stupid thing.
if you could mute your Calvin, can you ask him to mute himself, please?
Don't work.
Or can you mute him? Okay. Calvin, thank you. Okay. We'll get Roger here straightened out. In the meantime, carry on with our agenda item. We're now right on schedule. We're very pleased to have us join this evening Eileen Santiago, Streetlights and Development in Utilities Design and Construction Division in Public Works and Environmental Services, and also our colleague Martin. I'm sorry, however you pronounce it, please let me know. Appreciate it there. Mr. Ortiz Gonzalez.
Martin Ortiz Gonzalez.
There we go, Martin. I got it right. Thank you, sir. Also from Public Works and Environmental Services. Very pleased you could join us here this evening. Recognize it's not strictly speaking a transportation issue, but of course you need to be able to see to drive. And we found that a number of folks had expressed some interest in finding out, how the streetlight replacement program works when the lights are out. And so again, very pleased that you could join us here this evening and bring us up to speed. So with that, can we mute Roger? Can you mute again, please? There we go. Thank you. With that, Eileen, welcome. Thank you. We look forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So Calvin Lam reach out to us with some questions. I put together a quick, presentation to brief, and try to answer some questions about the streetlight fixture replacement process in the county and related services. Some questions kind of overlapped, and I hopefully this would answer most of the questions. So I would like to request for everyone to keep the questions at the end of the presentation, because it is very possible that the next slide will answer a few questions that are gonna come.
Roger, please keep yourself muted, Roger. Thank you. Thanks. We're going to, Calvin, you're going to show the presentation?
Eileen, I'm sorry.
Can we see the presentation? Can you show it?
She's on mute. You're on mute, Eileen.
I lost Eileen's video. I wonder if we lost her.
I'm here. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I turned everything off with my elbow. I didn't know that could happen, but I just turned everything off with my elbow.
This is the night of communications challenges all around, so okay, no worries.
So I'm going to share the presentation and we'll go from there.
Okay.
I like
I have
that.
it somewhere in here. And 1 second. Okay, I'll just sorry, let me go back. So let me go. I work with the Streetlight and Developer branch with Capital Facilities and Public Works. So streetlights in Fairfax County are installed, owned, and operated and maintained by 2 utility companies, Dominion Energy and the Northern Virginia Electrical Cooperative, NOVEC, as we call it. And the Dominion Energy service about 96% of Fairfax County. NOVEC service 4% of Fairfax County. And we have a very large streetlight inventory, about 59,515, getting close to 60,000. And the county pays for monthly fees based on number of streetlights, and we pay these utility companies for maintenance and operations. Streetlights, streetlights infrastructure is procured by the utility company, Dominion or NOVEC. However, it's important to note that interstates and major interchange streetlights are owned and operated by VDOT. Next slide. So before I speak about the programs and services that we provide, I wanted to walk through a little of the requirements and standards that govern lighting and in Fairfax County. First, we have the Public Facilities Manual, includes requirements and guidance for streetlights on public roads. The Public Facilities Manuals also makes reference to the nationwide standard practices for roadway lighting, which is the RP8. The zoning ordinance also has a section that provides standards for outdoor lighting. Fairfax County also follows guidelines from the International Dark Sky Association. And in addition to that, we make sure that proffers related to lighting and development conditions are also followed. Certain areas in the county follow certain urban design guidelines, CRD areas. Those areas have some specific fixture styles that they use. So that list is a summary of the guidelines that are followed and code requirements. So to summarize the programs and services that we provide, first, there's the LED conversion streetlight program. It's a 5-year program that to convert all existing streetlight infrastructure to LED. We are right now halfway, well, actually 3 years in the program. Still 2 more years to go. We have the Citizen Streetlight Program, manages streetlights requests from citizens and Board of Supervisor district offices. We have the Outages Reporting Support Service that oversees our outage reporting map application and ensure, that complaints or citizens' concerns are addressed and make sure that the lighting is operational. That would be in coordination with the utility company, but I will expand a little bit more about this in the other slides. We also have the Developer Streetlight Program. The Developer Streetlight Programs manages ongoing projects as worked out with the land development and coordinated with land development services. And we follow, make sure that PFM requirements are met. So we support LDS with all these projects from the developer industry. And we also provide services to FDOT, VDOT transportation projects. And then I'm talking a little bit further about these programs. I'm gonna summarize or expand more about the LED conversion program. So the LED conversion program was implemented to convert all antiquated lights, mercury vapor, metal halide, high pressure sodium, to LED. This began in the summer 2019. The program was funded from the Fairfax County Operational Energy Strategy Initiative. So the intent of this program is to convert antiquated, as I mentioned, this is repeating a little, these antiquated lights, but at the same time, some engineering goes to it. We ensure that lighting levels, meet standards. Some of these lights were installed a long time ago, and criteria was very general at that time, but so while the program try to convert large areas to LED, we also look into meeting as much as possible current standards. As I mentioned, this program started since May of 2019, and I added some numbers of where we at as of today. As of today, 33,000 LED conversions are currently engineered in the process of being converted and replaced by the utility company. 27,000 are on site already converted and upgraded to LED. And we're currently on track and halfway, a little bit more than halfway throughout the program. I also wanted to, kind of remind everyone about the benefits that are coming with the program. The LED conversion program reduces CO2 gas emissions by based on estimates, 32.4 million pounds per year. So that's a large amount. LED reduces long-term maintenance and operational cost. the outages experience with older technologies, including some were particularly not the best efficiency in terms of maintenance. Some of them would go out every so often. Metal halides were specifically problematic in some areas, but the maintenance of LED is reduced significantly. So that's one of the key elements, benefits of the program after it's completed. The fixtures, the LED fixtures that are getting replaced are also International Dark Sky Association approved. So that limits the amount of uplight and light pollution, which is a concern for a lot of residents. Another thing is the light, the white light that emits from LED fixture has a better color rendering, better visibility. So vision is enhanced. It's one of the benefits. At the same time, and I wanted to point this out, studies do show that high color temperatures are detrimental to human health and animals. For that reason, the Fairfax County adopted and uses a warm white LED, which is described as a color temperature of 3000 Kelvin. So the citizen petition program that we have in place, I'm trying to summarize. There's trying to capture here an umbrella of services that are provided. So I'll walk through them, and let me see. So the Citizen Streetlight Program manages complaints related to public lighting. It manages requests from citizens and the Board of Supervisor district offices. Requests for installation of street lights that are contingent on funding, and that's usually one of the issues that needs to be clarified at the beginning. Our engineers evaluate and determine locations, quantity, and type of street light recommended for an area when requested to make sure it meets, adopted standards and PFM. Petitions is something that it's part of the services that are provided. Petitions associated with the upgrading or the conversion to LED are coordinated, of course, with the LED conversion program, if that's the request from a citizen or a Board of Supervisor office. We also assist with streetlight outages, conflicts, and resolutions with the utility company. So Dominion Energy and Novik, they are responsible for maintaining the lights, but they have calling centers and ways of reaching out to them to report an outage. But we provide resolution when Dominion cannot attend an outage situation. We also have a mechanism through a citizen petition process for the upgrading of deficient streetlights. It has a criteria to meet. It has to be on a state-maintained road. It needs to follow up. It needs to have approval from the affected citizens. So it has to go through a process, and if there is availability of funding, we also process those. Sorry about that. So I saw questions about the streetlight reporting, how to report a street outages in the county. It depends on the provider, the power service provider. If it's a Dominion Energy, there's a phone number. Dominion Energy has a website that can also, let me see if I have a link. So a citizen has a couple of options. They can give a call to that's a 24-hour, 24/7 number. There's also the website. I'm gonna see if this can open. There's a website platform where there's some instructions and information of how to report an outage, some information about the timeline it takes, and basically a web form to fill out and report an outage. Novik also has something similar on this link. Now, the Department of Public Works, together with our office, created an application, Streetlight Reporting Map application, where a resident can also report, and this has the help of looking at a map. I mean, being able to identify and do a report from a cell phone. So this is very neat. However, this creates an email that goes to our office, and then we staff makes the report directly to the utility company. Let me see if this works. I don't know if this is working. I didn't test. But this can be found under Fairfax County website. Here it is. This is pretty neat. So let me see if I can enter an address in here just for the sake of doing, let me see. I'm gonna Government Center. Let's see if this is working for me. So this could be installed in a cell phone, and by just entering an address, getting some information, you can see these are poll numbers. And let me go here, go to the street. So an outage can be reported here by clicking on the dot, and this would generate a form. So it's a simpler option. Doesn't request as a citizen to enter too much information, just the outage and submit the report, just the name and the email. I think it's optional. Martin may be able. Martin, is this optional, entering email or name or email, or?
Yes, we make it optional. Some people is afraid to disclose their personal information. So we request information or we need to sort out any issues or follow up, but it's totally optional. They can just send information and it came straight to us. But I prefer to get some information in case I need to go back and verify or inform the citizen of the progress.
Let me go back to the presentation. So there are a couple of options of how to report a light that is out. I think this just jumped a little. So this is just the steps to follow when using the application that I just demonstrated from Fairfax County website or through the app. So this is just the steps. So another thing to point out, important to point out, is how Fairfax County streetlights are maintained. So the utility companies basically handle outages and maintenance operations. There's provisions in the multi-year contract that local governments have with Dominion or Novec. Because of the replacement of street lighting from just the older technologies to LED, Dominion developed together with Fairfax County a chart that it's utilized when they are working in maintenance and replacing a fixture. So when the contract was renegotiated to include LED fixtures, and I'm talking the VEPCA multi-year contract that we have with Dominion Energy, the selection of LED fixtures that would work and make sure that, compliance with Fairfax County regulations about outdoor and street lighting were selected in coordination with them. So when Dominion Energy needs to replace a light, it has to be an LED. They don't provide. There's no availability of the older fixture light sources like high pressure sodium and the older ones, metal halide. So they go ahead and replace to the selected LED fixtures. So in terms of maintenance, so replacement occurs through maintenance or through the LED conversion program that we coordinate with Dominion Energy. We convert with the LED conversion program, about 1,000 lights per month, and getting there to complete, the update to LED of Fairfax County street lighting infrastructure. Majority of new lights, I think this is the majority of developer new lights are installed through the Developer Streetlight Program. Since July of 1988, new land development in the county is required to install street lighting as a condition of approval. And new poles and new lights are evaluated every time we receive a project from development industry. The program supports land development services and it provides technical review for lighting improvements. Once the plans are approved and ready for construction, our department also provides support for the cost estimating, the installation, the construction, coordination of resolution of utility conflicts if they happen, provide assistance with billing payment of these improvements until they're in place and then become part of our inventory. We also keep up our light mapping inventory within GIS to make sure it's consistent with what's out there, with information provided by Dominion and utility companies. And then after, new lighting is installed, then Department of Public Works and Capital Facilities pays for the monthly invoices from the utility company to provide electrical service to the lighting. After describing the services, I wanted to point out that Department of Public Works and Capital Facilities, generally the main role is technical review of projects and plans submitted, and processing reconciliation of invoices from the utility companies and giving support to citizens and residents with streetlight outages, in addition to all the services. But these are usually our main roles. That takes the majority of staff expertise and time. So those are the main roles, but they expand to many agencies. We give support to other agencies like Fairfax County Department of Transportation, VDOT projects, developer projects, citizen supervisors, and our own internal agencies. So I think that is it. I tried to capture a lot in very little time. So with that, any questions? I can go back.
Well,
I have
Petition, very much. Go ahead, Kevin.
So I was not aware that the county was so heavily involved. So if you take a typical VDOT street like Burke Center Parkway and Roberts Parkway, those lights are on what, VDOT right of way, but you track those lights to for maintenance and conversion to LED.
Now, VDOT is different. So VDOT would be on highways and interchange lighting and on traffic signals also. The number that I gave you, the almost 60,000 lights, are county roads that are not interstate. Those would be Dominion and Novick.
So if it's a VDOT road, you're not involved.
Those are state roads. No.
State roads, that you have nothing to do with that. So,
well, we give support to some degree, but in terms of maintenance, it would be VDOT. We don't have, and maybe Martin can expand a little bit more on that.
well, let me before
Sure,
you jump in, let me just tell you, or Martin as well, that here's my issue on Burke Center Parkway. One, the county map that you had up has some flaws in it when you try and isolate a light. But the bigger issue for me that I've been trying to get a handle on and who to contact is there are many, many streetlights out in a row on Burke Center Parkway. Now, a few days ago, I gave them the pole number and the location as per their form and said, all right, not only is this one out, but the one out directly across the street, which I didn't walk over and get the pole number for, is out. And I said, plus you've got several others out up the street. They fixed the one that, I gave them the pole number for, but that was it. I'm trying to figure out how we can get Dominion to, because they fix a lot of these lights at night. They don't necessarily do it in the day. How can I get them to do the simple task of having a maintenance truck just take a trip down the parkway at night and either make note of all the lights that are out or start fixing them one by one? Who can I contact at Dominion to get that done?
I mean, we contact them. I don't know if you're talking about specific situation where there's a underground line. Sometimes these repairs take longer than they even suggest. But are we talking about something general that you've experienced, or this is a specific road section?
Specific example on Burke Center Parkway on the north side of Burke, or I guess the west of Burke. I think Burke Center Parkway is considered east and west, so it would be on the west side. There are several between Roberts Parkway and Oak Leather Drive. There are numerous lights out. So you're not going to stop and write down each pole number, and using the map I found is problematic. So, somebody in authority to speak to somebody in authority at Dominion and say, get somebody out there and take a look. And certainly if we've had the problem before with, it's a more complicated fix. It's underground, and that's fine. They can mark the poles for that so that that they're addressing the situation. But as best I can tell, they're not addressing this at all. And I think it's not fair that it relies on the public to go out there and write each individual poll number down and send it to them. There has to be a better mechanism for that. And I'd like to engage somebody at Dominion on that.
They have a maintenance program, so they have a relamping program to go through the county certain areas and maintain and clean them and replace. But in terms of outages, it does rely on what they receive from citizens and about the outages report made. Now we track, and Martin Ortiz can expand on this. We track at least the outages that go through our system, through our application, or that are, brought up to our attention, and to make sure that the timing is reasonable, to make sure that the response from and held, them accountable for those outages. And Martin works very hard on getting the numbers, and the timing to a reasonable amount of time. So Martin, in your experience, could you elaborate on,
Yeah, I understand
the
the
first,
citizen, the
the
committee
situation.
representative frustration. I want just to first let you know that the service contract with Dominion is done by BEPCA agreement. The BEPCA agreement is all the Virginia members or Virginia municipalities, and they write down the contract and they establish the rules. And as a member of Fairfax County, they have some votes on voice, but other municipalities also have to be in agreement. So when they said the maintenance, you said that why they don't go with the truck during the night, because that is not on the maintenance agreement. That's a special rate service that they provide with a special hour rate for that particular service. And that has to be scheduled and that has to be funded. And those funding decisions are made by the board, not me neither. And before the COVID, answering your question, we used to go to main roadways like Route 1, Old Kinney Mill Road, Fairfax County Parkway, and we go to some areas of the county and we do the assessment. But because of the COVID, we stopped doing that because we noticed that typical situation that Dominion, they have that service, but that is a special rate. It's called a Schedule E. It's part of the BEPCA agreement. And about how they report system, also Dominion pretty much set the rules. They need a poll ID and a location to do a service. They don't do survey. So sometimes that's why we create a map to allow citizens to use the map instead of walking and getting next to cars to collect the poll numbers. And sometimes you can just report the one before, the one after. You're not sure because Dominion, they only go by each number. You cannot call them and say there are 7 lights out in this street. No, they need the pole identification number in order to do the service to the light. That's how the contract is. Those are the rules.
I mean, I just think that's a bureaucratic answer of telling people to go pound sand. So let me just ask you, because you mentioned Keene Mill and Fairfax County Parkway, so these are state roads. So even though they're state roads, VDOT roads, the county at one point, at least before the pandemic, took some responsibility to check for outages?
Yeah, we as an office, our staff, we decided there was a need and we have to get volunteers and schedule the service because this has to be done out of regular working hours. And we were doing it when we get calls from people and said this area needs to be checked. We organize a team of volunteers or that are available to work during night hours, and we go and check the area and collect the information. So we are more than happy to go to Borg Center Parkway and do an assessment. Now the COVID restrictions are getting lifted, so we can schedule and do a search in that area. Yeah.
Just what does COVID have to do with it? Because there's no, you're not going to get COVID from a street pole. How did that restriction apply?
Safety policies
it's a safety
require
policy.
us to go together as a group, not individuals. So sharing the car, the vehicle, the county vehicle with more than one members had a safety issue.
So
but that's something. It was employees sharing vehicle.
Okay, I got it. But so I can send either of you a request with the location to have you investigate it or not.
Yeah, we can do that, or you can check the map also and click as many of you like, or you have a general idea, and then I will send a report to Dominion to go there and do the repairs. Yeah.
But Martin, is this the area where there's a lot of outages on traffic signals that are owned and operated by VDOT?
Yeah, this area restaurant. We're talking about Borg Center Parkway. All those lights are county lights. Mm-hmm. They are maintained by VDOT, but the lights are on county jurisdiction. So we share some responsibility. Yeah, those in Borg Center Power are under county jurisdiction, serviced by Dominion. Yeah.
Okay, because
there are some areas like I-66, there are some on Route 50, some interchange close to 495, ramps to the highways that they are VDOT. But mostly of the county area are county lights. That's why you see the big number, close to 60,000. So they are VDOT maintained roads, but the lights are, the agreement is that the county provide the light. Yeah. Some areas VDOT does everything. They do the maintenance, the lighting. It's all done by VDOT. Yeah.
I thought that Eileen had said earlier that.
Kevin, just a sec. I'd like to let somebody else ask questions, but you can come back. We'll let you ask all your questions. I would like to give somebody else a chance to.
Okay. Could we, if Calvin could just get Martin's email so I could email him later.
Okay. We absolutely have that. And no, Kevin, not mean to cut you off, and you will be able to ask.
No, that's all right. That's fine. I didn't mean to be that long.
That's okay. No, appreciate it. Jeremy, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, hi. Appreciate the presentation. I wanted to follow up on a couple of the citizen programs that you had mentioned. First, do you have for residential streetlight installations, do you have a general idea of what that costs for a streetlight?
You mean new pole installation or attaching a fixture to a utility pole? Because it varies.
Yeah, whatever the range is.
Okay, well, one of the first things I have to clarify is the cost varies, because the cost really, what drives the cost is how to energize that pole, how to Dominion, gets a conduit and their cables and power to service that light. And that, if they have to bore through a road, it's a higher cost. So it's not only installing a pole and a light. So it ranges. There's range for a new, and depends. You mentioned residential area, so there's two styles. It could be one of these colonial, shorter street lights, or the Cobra head, which has the pole, the bracket, and the little fixture. The Cobra head could be your ballpark number, could range around $8,000. I mean, I've seen $6,000, I've seen $12,000, you know, but usually use as a very general number 8,000. That's a new pole. And then colonials, I don't know the ballpark number that we use, but
So colonials
this is
would be
subject
like
to
if you're
Dominion's cost
if you're
estimate, right?
attaching to an existing pole that already has the access to the electricity. That would be a lot less than 8,000.
Okay, could be around 1,000.
Okay.
Could be around 1,000.
So you had mentioned the Citizen Light program and those requests that come in through the supervisor's office. Do you have a general idea about how many projects that we're doing for citizen programs a year?
Oh, I don't have that number with me. I can find out and get back to you.
Yeah,
I don't want to speculate. I've been under this position 2 months only, so I don't know the ins and outs of.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to know. I don't have a good sense of how we're funding streetlight programs, what the demand is for streetlight programs, how many projects are we actually, putting in based upon that demand. I think that would be helpful to know if you want to look into it.
In terms of funding, we don't have funding for new lighting. We can't
so there's none.
No. There's funding for improvements of existing lighting.
Okay, so if a neighborhood had, new development that was going in around it, or lots of walkers, there was no lights, and they wanted to do a program today, county funded, there's no program right now.
For new lighting, no.
Yeah, and when's do you know the last? I know you said you just came on. I think it would be interesting to understand when the last time one of those programs were installed in Fairfax County too. But I'll let you take that back. The second program, you didn't mention it, but it is on the Fairfax County website, is a program that includes private contributions that would, it seems to me, reading the website, that would allow an individual community to fund. So if they wanted to do those $1,000 programs, is that something that is happening? Are communities paying for streetlights?
Not often, but it does. That's part of the Citizen Streetlight program, really, because if I didn't, in this presentation, I didn't want to expand too much on funding, because that's another subject, and the questions were related more about maintenance and LED conversion program. Yes, and the website also talks about dim bulb program, and it sort of overlaps with the LED conversion program, but these are all citizen streetlight program. So if we get a petition from a community, and the community meets criteria, meaning it's a state road, it's a public road, they have signatures for everybody agreeing on a location and a possible place, if there's a lighting, we need to evaluate first that there's actually a lighting improvement that can be done that meets code requirements. We have to verify there's not an ongoing development project that's going to change the right-of-way geometrics, for example. So we first evaluate it at requests, and and the option of private contribution is part of the citizens program. The website needs to get some updates, but yeah, private contribution is an option if it meets criteria, if it's a public road. And
yeah, I looked at there's a form on the website, but it looks like it was maybe updated in 2010 is the last.
Yes, the citizen, and that's what when I let me go back to, if I can go back to the slide real quick. That was the last bullet. I didn't mention dim bulb. I didn't mention the private contribution, but it's through citizen petition process, some upgrading can be done, you know, and if the upgrading includes a new installation, then the funding, the private contribution funding could join, you know, the petition process.
Yeah, I don't think my sense, I don't know, but my sense is that requests that would come in are not going to be about upgrading the lights. They're going to be because they don't have enough lights. Mike, I'll let others ask questions, but I would be interested to if we could get
to
more
see the
information.
amount.
Yeah, on the budget and the funding. I think that would be helpful. And Mike, I would just raise it as we consider the larger active transportation programs. I think this is that budget piece and how Fairfax is looking at those programs is I think is an important piece of it. But yeah, anything you can provide that would be helpful. But I appreciate it all. Thank you.
No, I agree, Jeremy. I think that's absolutely important component. Obviously directly ties to safety, certainly, and folks' willingness to and ability to, you know, travel in bicycles and on roadways and things like that. Eric, I see your hands. I'm going to call on you, but I do want to check and see. Shamali, are you with us by any chance? I know she was going to be going in and out.
Yeah, I am with you, and I've been listening. Actually, I'm in my car at an intersection that's extraordinarily dark at the moment. So I pulled over to the side of the road just because I wanted to double check to see if these were VDOT lights or not, and just trying to, you know, listen to this. So the question I had that I put in the chat was, can you clarify? So when I look at the county map, there are some lights that we have, street lights, that are not on the map. If they're not on the map, how can we get them onto the map? That would be helpful, maybe, because then it would make it a little easier for us without having to stop and get out on an active roadway to take a picture of the you know, numbers to be able to report the streetlight outage. We have 27 out right now on Reston Parkway that I still counted. So.
Okay, you're talking about Reston. All the lights in our map are the lights on our jurisdiction. There are some in Reston. I see I'm froze. Are you reading properly? Okay. Yeah, there are some lights in Reston Parkway that are VDOT jurisdiction. As
Right.
VDOT don't have our lights on their map, so VDOT doesn't service our lights.
So no VDOT lights are on your map, Martin?
No, because that's VDOT jurisdiction. They own their system, they maintenance, they are independent from that area. So we try to provide the service to the lights on our jurisdiction to the public.
Okay. So if they're not, if there are lights that are not on the map, then we might assume that they're VDOT lights. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's a probability, and that is an explanation on our website. Sometimes there are errors on the system. We can be contacted and we can evaluate and do a little investigation. And if there is an error, we're more than happy to fix it. But if the light is VDOT, they have to be contacted and do it directly by VDOT. We have some commuter parking lots that they have also VDOT lights, like the Stonecroft commuter lot. Those lights are county lights, but sometimes there are some in Alexandria that they have VDOT lights and county lights. It depends how the property is, where the agreements are done, how the maintenance agreement are done. So sometimes the lights are county, sometimes the lights are VDOT. There is a special one in Alexandria, I don't have the name. Half is county, half is VDOT. So the VDOT ones, they usually have a blue and, a black and yellow stencil on them. And the one from Dominion has a different decal, or the letters that have some little decals. Most of the Dominion one start with a letter C. But there's also a good explanation on our website also as well about that.
Got it. So a resident who is, trying to look at it from a constituent point of view, who is driving along and notices a bunch of streetlights out and goes to the Fairfax County streetlight map, it sounds like there needs to be, I'm sure you have a link to VDOT there, or a direction that if they're VDOT lights, if it's not on the map, that they should consider contacting VDOT.
Yeah, there's some instructions over there. Yeah, correct. It's on
and
the,
then
it's
they
on the
would
website.
need to, because VDOT doesn't have an interactive map similar to what the county has, they would need to get out and tag the lights.
Unfortunately, yes. You can also use Google Street View. It's a good tool. We sometimes use it also to identify our light as well. Using Google Street View, you can hover to the road, and there's some pictures that have enough resolution that you can see the number.
Okay.
And then you can call VDOT. They have a calling center for streetlights, because they have some web forms, but they are designed for pedestrian lights, traffic signal, missing road signs, potholes. But unfortunately, for a streetlight, you have to use their dialing call center. That's how VDOT works. Yeah.
I just think it's a little confusing here tonight. I seem to have heard both sides, I mean, when we talked about Burke Center Parkway and Keene Mill Road that are VDOT streets, but you said that you could go out and look at those even though they're VDOT, but then it
No, the
seemed to be
maintenance is no removal, asphalt, milling, paving, paint striping. That is done by VDOT. The lighting is done by the county. But there are some areas, major interchange, that VDOT also do the lighting, the roadway lighting, and the traffic lighting.
for the lights that Shamali just mentioned on Reston Parkway.
I think we have some communication. Those lights are on the traffic signal pole. That's VDOT property. I already explained that. Traffic signal poles are VDOT property. So there is no doubt that that's a county light, because whatever is on a signal pole is VDOT property, is VDOT jurisdiction. VDOT will not allow to have any attachment, something on a pole that is not owned by them. They will not allow Dominion Energy to put a light over there.
So Shamali, do you got a complete understanding? Are you good?
Oh, I do. I will say this, that I understand the process and I understand what has to happen. I do think that as someone who has to respond to constituent requests, this process for reporting light is extraordinarily cumbersome. Most of our constituents, are out walking or driving and they see lights out and they're like, why are there no lights here? This is a pretty busily traveled intersection that I'm at. There's, high visibility crosswalks, and there's stores right across and restaurants and housing on the other side. And yet 4 lights are out. They're VDOT lights. So, but you can't see them on your map. So it's confusing to everyone. And I'm not sure how to resolve that. I'd like to make it more user friendly for all of our constituents.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's very cumbersome, and even more so as it was described tonight. So I'm pretty puzzled by the whole process.
Hold that thought, because I do want to continue on the conversation. We're going a little longer, but actually I think it's okay. We're being very productive, and we don't have another presentation behind us. I do want to give Eric a chance. He's been very patient with his hand up. And Shamali, please do stay with us if you can. We'd like to stay in the conversation. Eric. Eric?
You're still muted, sir.
Muted.
Pilot error. So I
There
think
you
there's an
go.
opportunity for the county to be potentially at the forefront of something. This took me 30 seconds of search. IEEE Journal of Selected Topics, Applied Earth Observations and Remote Sensing, Volume 13, 2020. Automated extraction of street lights from nighttime light data and assessment of their solar energy potential. Unfortunately, it's a bunch of Chinese guys using their own satellite, but the Jilin 1-03B satellite provides next generation nighttime light data with a high spatial resolution and 3 spectral bands. Consequently, streetlights can be extracted from nighttime light data. We use the road network data set from the OpenStreetMap with a specific buffer to extract the road area as a constraint region. Next, the grayscale brightness of the JL1-3B images was obtained by integrating all 3 bands to locate the streetlight by using a local maximum algorithm. ... They went on to do solar energy calculations for the lights. So I would suggest that our own DigiGlobe and Planet Labs could probably work if there was any kind of money potential in it for them. And I'm not sure that there is, but you might be able to get Virginia Tech to come up with an automated way to do this from the nighttime visible band imagery, and poof. And for those of you who don't think you can take pictures at night, it used to be classified. Now it's out in the public media. The Defense Meteorological Satellite Program used to use night lights to characterize all kinds of things. One of them is power outages. So when you search for this kind of stuff, you're going to see power outage calculations, and of course, estimating how much power isn't being used in North Korea, etc. But the point is that this is probably extractable from commercial imagery, which is cheap at 1 meter resolution. That satellite that they just quoted there only weighs 42 kilograms and collects a 17-kilometer wide swath. If somebody wants me to contact DigiGlobe, I'll be happy to. I know the CTO.
For those who don't know Eric, he tends to be he is our sort of technical expert. Interesting take, and actually you make a lot of sense. You make a lot of sense. I do have some thoughts and questions, but I do want to see if there's any other questions up front here. I don't see any hands up. Kevin Shimali, anything you wanted to add?
Just to answer Eric's thing, I'd have no problem with them reaching out to, somebody that has a possible solution to identification of.
Well, the question is there enough of a market there for these guys to even care? But the other question is, if they were interested in an experiment, would the county be interested?
Which is above our pay grade, right?
I think so.
That's about my decision. I don't have the funding to pay for it, so I cannot make that decision. That would be a high level evaluation, and
there's a lot of technologies out there, even smart city sensoring with with the fixture lighting provided by the utility companies could provide some information about their own system.
Yeah, that kind of brings me to my next question. So do the LED lights come with a way to communicate back status?
It's not in our VEPCA agreement, and the rates that are established with the utility companies, they are building up their system, and I don't. It's not offered right now. Are they installing and upgrading? Possibly, but it's not being offered, so it's not for now an option. I hope they're moving forward to some things, but again,
it'd probably be unsecure and highly hackable anyway. So thank you.
Yeah, that's an option. Yeah, that technology exists, and there are some vendors and companies that are using it, especially in parking lots, dealerships, and many establishments that when they close business, you can dim the lights or do controls. Yeah. And also some lights communicate and tell the system that they are not working properly. But that requires a vendor, a contract, another agreement. And utility companies are doing the evaluation, but they don't want to also get another service contract with a third party. So they're trying, Dominion doing the leader evaluation. And they are having some areas that are trying to get and know this technology, how to use it, but it's not finalized. And again, it's Dominion decision. And then every new change or implementation, as Eileen said, is through BEPCA contract. We spent many years in negotiation just to get the LED rates. We started, I think, since 2015 until 2018. Before that, because all the members of BEPCA have to be on board. Every member has a vote.
Local
So
government in the
Northern
state of
Virginia
Virginia.
has some technology advanced expectations, but other municipalities don't have it. So everything has to be in agreement to make a change. So those are the challenges that are above of our decision-making process. And we understand some frustration and some things that can be improved, but they require a major agreement of all the members of BEPCA.
That was an excellent explanation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Martine, if I could, I know you mentioned it, you were just talking about it, you mentioned before. Who are the members of VEPCA and what's the acronym stand for?
Sure.
Let me go back. It's the Virginia Purchasing Electrical.
Virginia
I had that.
Energy Purchasing Governmental Association.
Okay.
So whoever doing business with utility companies just to get power to buildings, rates, and charges, and lighting is one of the options over there. So it's the Virginia Energy Purchasing Governmental Association.
Okay. Okay. All right. This is a fascinating conversation. And yes, it is clear where there are gaps in the process, different ownership. It's exactly why we wanted to have you come in. We're puzzled what the challenges are. We're still a little puzzled, but we're certainly more mindful of the difficulties of trying to do this. Shamali, I really appreciate you having the conversation with me the last month about this. It's pretty clear, and Eileen and Martine pick up on your point. Yes, it's clearly above your pay grade, something that would have to be done at a higher level. But that's exactly the kind of thing that the TAC exists for, is to bring things to the attention of the Board of Supervisors that have proven to be intractable at lower levels, perhaps a little bit more attention and a little bit more focus. And so don't want to get too far ahead. There's more homework to be done here, but I think this is homework worth doing. If you're a citizen, one of the most important things you like to have is streetlights. There's been plenty of literature about, conversations about how dangerous it is and how it sets a tone for a city or a municipality where the lights are out. Now, we're nowhere near that. I was raised in Detroit, still have family there, went back recently. There are some wide areas with no lights. That's not our issue. But certainly what we're having here is, pockets and pieces where there's a couple lights here, 7 lights there, those kinds of issues. It is something that citizens notice. It is something that they'd like to be able to take care of. And recognizing that there is different responsibilities for, I'll say, fixing, basically, again, the outages, different groups responsible for different pieces. It ought to be possible to have a centralized reporting mechanism where everybody reports the lights. People have phones with GPSs. Whether there's a some kind of satellite looked over the shoulder, although I think we'd like to have something that where citizens can see something. They don't know what pole it is. They don't know the number. It can be dangerous to look at the number. Can you get close to it with your phone? Or can you do something where you can take advantage of the locations ability that people have these days? Recognizing, again, that this is not something that VDOT, that VDOT is its own entity. And we, the county, have plenty of conversations with VDOT about lots of topics. They sometimes can be a little problematic to work with. Other times, not so much. It varies. I don't know about our relationship with them on lights, but what I'm thinking here is that we can approach them and ask them, what would it take to have at least a county-wide, we can look at region-wide, but right now I'm thinking Fairfax County, a county-wide reporting mechanism, so that somebody can just say, this light is out, and let the mechanism behind the scenes figure out whose job it is to fix it. Recognize that's not something the county can do by itself. Martina, I was asking about the purchasing cooperative there. I'm hopeful we don't have to go that far to be able to do a reporting mechanism. If you have to buy something to do it, then maybe it would. But I hope that there's an openness to explore those kinds of options and a level of cooperation, which I think is at the heart of the problem we have here. And every organization is well-meaning. VDOT is not trying to keep the lights out. And every entity has set up its mechanism for reporting lights, but they don't quite match and they don't quite mesh. And I think that's something that the county would benefit from fixing. And I think the TAC and FCDOT can try and take a leadership role in trying to resolve some of these things. So I have some other thoughts about maybe how to proceed, but they're still kind of squishy here. But I wanted to sort of throw that out on the table and see what folks think. Commissioners, yes. In fact, I'll start with commissioners to see if there's some thoughts on that. And then Lean and Martine, your thoughts about how tall a mountain you think that might be. So, Kevin, I saw your hand up before. What do you think, sir? Shamali, I'll ask you too in a minute.
Who did you recognize?
Kevin, you first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Sorry.
No, that was a salute to you because you were recounting your summary to the Board of Supervisors that we TAC also wants to be about bringing solutions forward. And I think in this particular topic, we should be working to elevate this to see if we can get it pointed to a better solution. A quick technical question: is the technology there? Is it feasible to have a sensor that would be relayed back to the power companies that tells them when a light is out without having to wait for somebody pointing it out?
That technology exists. Arlington County uses for some of their lighting. The technology exists, but the investment that the utility companies would have to do, and how that translate to the rates and FEPCA agreement, it's the other subject. So the technology exists, but it's not offered by the utility companies.
Yeah, I think I need to manage their own lights.
Yeah, they
so probably they have a vendor for that service. There have to be a budget for that. All those things that are our pay rate, I said before, has to be done in order to implement something like that.
It's different. We are not set up like that in terms that this is owned and maintained by the utility companies. We don't own the lights, which is a different situation.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Shamali,
there's a question.
Oh yes, there are, Pete. Yes, thank you.
Mike, I think what you said was terrific. I do think this is worth looking at a little further to see if we could find a way that would be a better user interface. I know we have discussed a little bit in our office an app-based system that could be a little more county-wide for specific reasons, and this might be the place to start it, is with the lighting portion of it, and then it could be expanded to include some other services. But if you have some solutions, and it sounds like you have some really creative, good solutions within your group, I think it would be really helpful. Thank you very much for bringing this forward.
I got a question and right now with VDOT, if you have a problem with a road, a light, or whatever, you could do 1-800 for roads, and they take care of it if it's a VDOT problem. But if it's not a VDOT problem, it's a Fairfax County problem, they hand it off to Fairfax County without having the citizen go back to do it again, which is, to me, a simple but very effective way of taking care of an issue like this. I mean, if maybe first contact should be either Fairfax County, the good folks talking to us tonight, or it should be VDOT, someone. And instead of making the citizen then go back and do more work, if they would just go, okay, VDOT, that's your light, please fix it. It's maybe it's too simplistic, but it works in other ways, and it would be good cooperation between you guys. My comment.
Something worth considering, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, understand.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're correct. Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
But there is no automated process yet, even with Dominion Energy. So we create a map to make citizens option to be easier for them. But everything that I receive, I have to be logged in Dominion system. There is nothing automated yet. They're independent
Yes, it's not
systems.
automated.
So
Now-
there's some restriction. I would love to have this change in technology, but those are databases, IT, security, how the system connect with the other. I don't know if Dominion is ready for that. The county is also
Dominion was
very,
approached.
Yeah.
They are not willing to do that. That's why the county went ahead and, created the app. The utility companies and Dominion were not willing to get into the type of application that they could share with us for security reasons.
Thank you for that.
I would just make a quick observation, then I see Roger's got his hand up, but we always want to cooperate with VDOT every chance we get. That's the going in position. We've got a good relationship with them. We certainly want to preserve that. However, if there are areas where the Board of Supervisors feel that VDOT is being reluctant to participate in an area that seems like they ought to be able to help with, that's something that the Board of Supervisors, should they choose to, can push on. We're not talking about major road construction. We're not talking millions of dollars of stuff here. Some of the options we can generate are going to be, they'll need to be pretty low cost. We can look at some other options that may be a little bit more cost, but this is not millions and millions of dollars to do this. So I think it's something that I'm confident we can get VDOT's attention. And if we're having a little bit of trouble getting their attention, I'm confident we can push to get their attention once we do our homework.
I don't think that, maybe I've completely missed the boat here, but I don't think the hangup is VDOT. I think largely it's Dominion, and I would suggest if we could get maybe Dominion in before the TAC, that might be a good next step.
I agree. In fact, there's some discussions and thought before bringing them in now. I'm actually glad we didn't, because I think it's nice to have our own sort of county discussion first. But absolutely, Kevin, I think we will, if the TAC wants to pursue this, I suspect we might, we'll want to have a wider group next time. Absolutely.
And if Shamali can be there, that would, or participate, I think that would be helpful as well.
Yes.
Not to volunteer for another meeting, but
I'm always happy to join you.
Well, appreciate that, and it's your fault for getting us going here. So you still a rock downhill. There's consequences to that. No, we're very glad you did. Roger, I see your hands up. Hopefully your electronic situation is straightened out a little bit. You've heard us and can ask your question.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. My phone works. The impression I got is that this Streetlight reporter is a fairly recent innovation. Is that true? If it is, I suspect there are many people in this county that don't even know it exists. And we could probably make some progress somehow by publicizing this. I mean, we sell beer and fast food and everything else with advertising, that if this were more widely known by citizens, because I've playing around with it, I find it fairly easy to use. And there have been times I've gotten out of the car after dark. Of course, this is on side streets. I'm not going to get out on Burke Center Parkway, and recorded a poll number. And this makes it pretty easy. Again, if people know about it and know that it's available to use. So if one of our guests could have any idea how long this has been available.
I was working with the Streetlight group at that time. I think it was 2016, maybe. I
Well, it's been around a
I
while.
recall, or 2016,
I think it was
Martin, I
before
don't know.
that. I think that it was before that.
Oh, 15 then.
Early 2000s, and then we did a little update or upgrade on the system on 2015, 2016,
Ah,
and that allows to be using a mobile device, because before was
Okay.
intended to be using a desktop computer. Now you
Okay.
see the map, there is an option that said create full view, and you have a full size map on your phone. And also you can allow the phone to read your location, and they will hover the map to your location and you can locate the light. So that
Oh,
option
all
was
right.
one
at the
of the
time was
updates we did. Yeah.
announced, right? I remember
Yeah, it has been
us
announced. Some
being
supervisor
concerned
district has
about the
been, yeah,
volume because
yeah.
it doesn't generate an automatic report to the utility companies. We have to manually go through it, revise, and submit it us. So it's not, it creates some more work for the small amount of staff we have, but I remember we were concerned after advertisement. It was in, I don't remember, was it in the radio and in the podcast? It was out. But
Yeah, I think it was advertised also during winter on Facebook. Somebody
Mhm.
let me know. It was a public
oh,
announcement on Facebook how to use it
mm-hmm,
little time ago.
mm-hmm.
But just to,
Well, this one here
But
says
yeah, mm-hmm.
right here it says Streetlight outage reporter, Streetlight out provider name Dominion, pole number, blah blah blah, closest address, blah blah, the pole location and a great big long number I don't want to read. And then I just put my name and my email and submit report. And I assume at that point that it would go either through Fairfax County or to Dominion that particular light is out.
correct,
That
it come to us, and then we
Comes to
have
us. Goes to an email, right?
an
An
access to the
inbox.
Dominion system, but it has to be allowed only to about of the
oh,
business
so
relation
that's
we have, and then we have to log it in the Dominion system. But
but in
it
other
have to
words,
be done by county staff
Manually.
okay,
manually.
okay.
Just to get a
Oh,
summary,
that
I reported 1,792 outages last year.
oh, okay.
Somebody's
We try to get
Because
the
I keep track
Dominion
of what
to
I
have this
report to see the
service.
Dominion is following the contract terms. So we keep track of what we report pretty much. We try to provide a service to the public, and when something goes wrong, we contact Dominion and try to find a solution. Yeah.
Okay, so then this report goes to somebody in your agency, and then you submit it to Dominion. Because what I
Correct.
had done
Yeah.
is manually, I had taken that report and I had submitted it to Dominion. But one way or the other, it gets to somebody with the light bulb, and that's fine.
Correct. Yeah.
And you reported over 1,000 of them last year. But I don't know how widely known this procedure is, because I've only known about it for a couple of months
Yeah.
now.
It's also on the main county website. There is a ribbon, and there is an option that says report. Is on that main county homepage. The options that you can report, Streetlight is one of them.
Okay.
It's on the main county
So
website
people,
as well. Yeah.
I can see where a lot of people still might miss it unless they just didn't know that it was there, or that it was really relatively easy to do.
Yeah.
Of course, when you run into Kevin's problem where the light in question may belong to VDOT, and that's another can of worms. But okay, but this thing seems to solve some problems. At least it does. Then the other question I have, which is slightly different, I'm looking here at the map in my neighborhood. There are a lot of neighborhoods here that simply do not have streetlights, period. Now, this may not be in your wheelhouse, but who makes the decisions as to whether a neighborhood has streetlights? And of course, the neighborhood I'm living in is old. I mean, I think they still had the lamplighter when they built this place. But is this something that's done with developers, or is it zoning? or is it the county that makes a decision whether this street's going to have lights and some other street doesn't have lights?
Yeah. 1 second.
This may not be your
This
area of
is,
expertise.
it's usually done by developer. I wanted to, I think over 15 years ago, there was a short time where there was a funded streetlight petition for new installation, and monies were, provided for that. But even though every year during budget money is requested for these kind of petitions, we haven't been allocated funding for over 15 years. So the funding for this type of work was done for a short period of time, and I don't have the number with me, maybe for 5 or 6 years by the board. And there was a process established, and they would evaluate, which streets to fund to install new lighting. And it was a petition process.
We're getting some fill-in building here, and is the builder, is the developer required to put it in or not? And if not, then they have to go through this petitioning process with the county to see if there's any money to put it in.
Well, there's transportation projects. If the Fairfax County Department of Transportation has a road widening improvement, then they use funding for lighting for the majority of these projects. So it would have to come from developers or from a transportation project. Other than that,
in other words, the developer is not required to put them in.
Developers are required to put them in.
They are
funded large projects, not a residential.
Well, I'm talking about
single family dwelling. A large.
Correct.
Yes.
We're getting some fill-in building here.
Yes.
These old neighborhoods, and
Mm-hmm.
the builder is not required to put them in if they don't have them.
They are required. Yes, they are. It's PFM requirement. They are required to install.
If the house lot is over 18,000 square feet, is not required. So it depends on the size of the lot. Yeah, residential areas with
large subdivisions. Well, they're required to have on
yeah.
the entrance. If there's an entrance, they're required to have lighting. But large lot subdivisions larger than 18,000 square feet, they're defined as large lots under the subdivision ordinance. Those large developments are not required to have lighting except at the entrances. If you have a new road entrance, you're required to have lighting. Other than that,
development down here on Holmes Run Road that is going to have about 18 new homes built back there. And I guess to be specific, would the developer of that particular project be required to have lighting in that neighborhood or not?
Roger,
and
yeah,
if I could, we're getting a little late, and I know there's lots of areas we can get into. What I'd suggest is please, you can feel free to follow up with Eileen and Martine and.
Yes, with that specific project, and I can follow up with you. Correct. Yes.
Well, if they're not, then that explains why we have some developments here that just don't have them.
Yeah. We went a little long here, even a little longer than I planned, but than I thought we might. But again, I think it was a good conversation. I would like to continue this conversation. What I was going to ask, Eileen and Martine, and recognize that there's that you'll need to get some approval from your supervisor at some point. We'll work through that. We work collaboratively with FCDOT here. We're not trying to steal you away and have you do things your boss is not aware of. They wouldn't want you to do. Although I'm sure they'd be open to trying to at least look at making some improvements here in the the outages program there. What I'm thinking is I would love to know what you'd like to see changed, if you could. You know, I know it's been working for a while, and again, I know there's been some plenty of constraints, which doesn't allow you to dream. But you know, there's an opportunity. Dream might be a little strong, although I don't know. Martine, you're clearly, if you keep track 1,792 reports you put in, you're paying attention there, and that's a good sign. We appreciate that. The county residents appreciate that because you're closing gaps that otherwise would you know would be open there. So what kind of things can we do to close those gaps? What kind of questions we would like to ask at VDOT? Yes, but as Kevin points out, Dominion and Novec probably. I saw it was 96% to 4%, but we don't want to forget Novec because you know they're part of what's going on here as well too. I would like to have another TAG meeting on this topic. I'm not sure necessarily how soon. I don't want to just sort of languish throughout the summer because I think there's something here that we can maybe maybe work on. Don't rule out maybe trying to do something at next meeting. But also, Eileen and Martine, I recognize the first time you've come to the TAC, there's a lot of pieces there. You've been working diligently at, Eileen, even though you've only been in your job here 2 months, it sounds like you've been involved in streetlights for a while. So, recognize this is a sort of a fresh opportunity perhaps, but would like to work with you and work with your bosses to, to try and take advantage of, of this opportunity, to try and maybe make some, some improvements. I'll ask you your raw thoughts. Don't worry, I'm not asking you to sort of sign up in blood because I know you can't. But what do you think in terms of timing of maybe putting some thoughts on paper of some improvements along the lines of what we talked about here? Even questions we might want to ask, things we might want to, again, ask VDOT or again, Dominion or something like that. What are your thoughts on how we could proceed and how fast we could maybe do this?
I might have to put a deeper thought on that and get back to you on a list of things. But a contact, definitely Dominion, VDOT involvement and coordination about lighting and, a contact group or person about lighting with our agency would be great. Their reporting system, it's a phone call, but there's not a follow-up. You don't get a number. You don't have a place to follow up on a report that's done. It's kind of thrown in the system and left, cross our fingers that these things get attended. So, a contact or a more commitment with their outages reporting.
Okay.
Um,
but I was going to say, I heard you say VDOT, but are you thinking Dominion Power as well? Or is that really
No, VDOT state.
Gotcha.
We don't have a contract with VDOT.
Okay.
Different from the utility companies. We have a contract. It's a government, long-term contract, but we have something where they can provide us information and meet and, follow up. So they have some obligations. VDOT doesn't have direct lighting obligations with us.
Okay.
So,
sounds like one of those things you might like to see, one of those improvements you might like to see, yes.
I'm sorry, Eileen, though, if you tell VDOT that a light's out, don't they just turn around and call Dominion?
No, VDOT owns and maintain their own lights. They don't
go out and fix their lights. Okay.
They have their own contractors and they run their investigation, and then they provide you a ticket number, but after the ticket number, you have to call every certain time that there is no kind of follow-up.
Okay.
But yeah, but they have their own crews or their own subcontractors to do the task. Dominion Energy don't service VDOT. Dominion just provide voltage or power to the meter box.
One meter box.
After the meter box or the control box is VDOT property, only VDOT can handle it pretty much, or the authorized subcontractors.
Correct.
I just tell you, it is confusing because again, Burke Center Parkway is a VDOT road, but you're encouraged to just call Dominion directly.
Yeah, because those
used to be
how the
wasn't a transition. Did it change from?
No, because VDOT is the major provider of even the county has the right of way.
Yes.
VDOT does the maintenance. And they do the snow, the asphalt, the paving, the milling, the stormwater maintenance. But the lighting, I don't know what decision was made because it was before me or how many years. How was the agreement? But the county provide the light in some areas. How does what decided what areas are? I don't know how what decision was made. But the
Well,
county does the lighting in many of the video roads in the county. That's why you saw the number of the 58, almost 60,000. So the majority of the roads are called like local roads, secondary roads. Many of them is the county who provide the lighting through the service contract with Dominion. There are some roads like I-66 that everything is VDOT. There is no relation with the county in terms of to service the lighting part. I don't know. I don't want to confuse you more, but those agreements are made in some time by some high-level officials. So I don't know how they're finalized, but what is county, what is VDOT? That's the easiest tool is our map. Is if the light is on our map, is our jurisdiction pretty much, and we want to do whatever it takes. If we are aware of the problem, we're going to try to find a solution.
Well, I think as the chairman asked, any suggestions or questions, if we had, let's say next month or in 2 months, representatives from VDOT and Dominion and NOVEC before the TAC, what questions would you or your supervisors, like us to bring up?
Maybe improving on service agreements. Every decision have to make by the contract. That's pretty much, we have to modify the contract terms. So in order to get a change of service or an improvement in the Dominion service area, they have to be done by the contract, the new agreement in the contract. That's pretty much the biggest restriction. And that contract is renovated, I don't know how many, 4 or 6 years, it is revised. But there is always room for improvement. We have some channels of communication with Dominion. And if we are aware of a situation that is brought to our attention, we try to coordinate with Dominion to find a solution. Yeah.
I don't want to sound trite, and this will be my last comment, but we go to the moon, we go to Mars, but it's that old joke, how many people does it take to change a light bulb? It just kind of boggles my mind, and I'll leave it at that, and hopefully we will take this up at another meeting and maybe start to get some answers or get on the road to a solution. Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. And in fact, would like to maintain a sort of a dialogue even between meetings here, because recognize how complex this is. And the issue is large enough with enough twists and turns that if we only discuss it during TAC meetings, it's going to take a while to get to the bottom of this. And so we can talk about this later, just among the TAC, and not. I'll discuss it a little bit tonight, but just as we go forward, whether we want to have a commissioner to look at this a bit more closely, be involved to have some conversations. Eileen and Martine, as you put some thoughts together and hope you can do so. Let us know. We again, we want to be visible to your chain of command and FCDOT. We'll obviously let FCDOT know what we're doing here and stuff like that. This is a collegial and collaborative activity. When we bring in Dominion and VDOT, we'll have had a chance to reach out to them a little bit. Not trying to work everything offline, but I do think though that we'd like to be able to be better prepared for for the conversations, where we can. And Shamali, please, we'd very much like to have you involved in these conversations. The interface that you talked about could be a good place to start. I mean, because I think what we're looking at here is what we'd like to be able to get to, I suggest, is a one-stop shop where a citizen, when they find a light, goes one place to report it. And then whoever needs to fix it, fixes it. And whether that's VDOT perhaps, allowing us to use a 1-800 light out, call line or something like that. We'd have to work with them, but hopefully we could come up with something. The website, our website, the county website, can we add VDOT lights to our map? And even if they're still identified as VDOT lights, you can still maybe pass the word on there. So Martine, you don't have to send the information over to them. I mean, it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be much, but I think in this area a little bit would go a long way.
Like, go ahead.
Yes, that would be an issue in terms that VDOT doesn't report to the county. So if we went through they don't share their mapping of the lighting throughout the county. But if they remove lights, they don't tell us, and we don't want to gather all huge effort to enter these in our system, and then we have no way of knowing when they get removed, replaced, relocated, completely removed, and then it's not reliable. It's not our data.
Gotcha.
I would be more willing to have a link to a map from the state where they control, because they don't want control, and they're not, we can't touch, it would be very tricky having that in our system and then not being
I understand
reliable.
your concern. There is always possibility, but there have to be agreement with data exchange, data update, data.
Unless they share to us, yeah.
So there have to be a constant agreement. It have to be always budget issues of how to maintain, how to keep inventory, how to do surveys on the system. We're going to have to do all field surveys, or have to be everything automated. So everything, all that is out of our control, but it is a possibility. But have to be a higher level agreement. It's not a one-time negotiation. There has to be something implemented.
Absolutely.
How to be maintained, how to be funded, how to be keep it track. But we understand, and there is always room for improvement. But there are some decision-making process that make some things more challenging, not difficult. Let's say challenging. There's some challenges, but there's always room for improvement.
Thank you.
And instead of the minion, I think there is a representative for the county for BEPCA. That might be I think Eileen knows the name of the person.
We have a key account manager, but key account manager more in the electric service overall. Many times he delegates to Jerry and their group. So we do have a key account manager. But
the way we contact the minion is a process. How we contact them is all based on that agreement, pretty much. So
Mike, can I just offer you this brief suggestion that you and myself have a offline conversation with Shamali to see maybe the next step going forward?
Sure.
Maybe a conference call or a Zoom, if there's a time agreeable to, but I would certainly make myself available.
Okay. No, would welcome that. Obviously with our FOIA rules, we're not able to, if we bring a third commissioner in, we need to have a meeting, which we could do if we need to. But Eric was channeling, just your piece, perhaps it's a few suggested about some of the technology solutions. Would want to bring that in as well too. But no, Kevin, I think it's a good idea for you, I, and Shamali to start the conversation and then chart a path.
I would not be offended if you thought Eric would be a better representative, or if another commissioner wanted to be the second commissioner. I take no offense, but if not, I'm glad to do it with you and Shamali if she's amenable.
Well, appreciate that. Actually, I'd rather have somebody else be the second commissioner for me, but do want to help get this thing moving. And Kevin, appreciate you your volunteering for that.
Should I leave it to you to set it up then, or do you want me to?
Well, I tell you what, I'm Shamali. It looks like she's still with us. I know she's been jumping in and out. Just wanted to get her thoughts. I anticipate she'd be open to that. There you are.
I am here, and I'm happy to help.
Okay.
You just let me know what you need.
Okay. Kevin, why don't you try and set something up? I won't. I think next week is the best time for me. And what I'd like to do, Martina and Eileen, if you could, obviously report to your bosses the level of interest TAC expressed in your presentation. I would like to go forward. I'd like to get their views, make sure they're happy with it. It would be nice if you could give us some thoughts as to some of the improvements you think. Just a couple, not exhaustive list. Half-baked, whatever, but whatever you can come up with, whatever your bosses are willing to let you report. If you could get us something by next week, then Kevin, Shamali, and I can talk about that. Just conceptually, we're not making any decisions.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, there you go.
Sorry, I have a toddler.
That's okay. That's okay. She enjoys what Mom's doing, so that's good news.
Isabella, 1 second, please. It's gonna be the list is gonna be more related to Vida. I'll regroup about the things that, and I appreciate the offering of this relationship because there's a few issues out there, but we are bound to our VEPCA and contract agreements with our utility companies. So I'll get back to you. I'll provide something together. I don't know how often we can, if we can join for the next one. We are a small group with a lot of vacancies, and I'm trying to cover too many vacancies right now. So if we can for the, not yet. If we
Somebody's ready to adjourn.
Yes,
we are
she's
too.
Been waiting for a long time.
Yes.
So where was I going? I don't know if we can attend to the next one, but to a future one with more information about what's needed or what type of information we need to gather. Just let us know.
Well, we'll be respectful of your time and very much appreciate again you and Martine spending all this much time with us. One of the things you might that could come from this is perhaps there needs to be more attention, more resources dedicated. Not a huge amount, but a little bit more to the Streetlight area. And if there are vacancies, encourage some hirings and things like that. Although not that you should necessarily need help there, and we don't want to limit you just to replacing streetlights. We're open to talk about other things as well too. But I think that's where we need to start. But if you have things that you believe need to be brought to our attention, please feel free to include those as well too. Yes, if you can get us something by next week, then we'll go ahead and convene a conversation. And won't plan on having you come. We'll talk to you. We're not going to. We certainly will not just blurt it out and your next thing will be an invitation from us for the May meeting. We would talk to you if it seemed to make some sense, being respectful of your times, because we do want to work with you and want to make sure that this helps you, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help you, help the citizens. So let us know how we can best do that.
Will do. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you so very much. Appreciate it. With that, we are a little behind the schedule now. So I think it's only fair to let Eileen and Martine go. And Eileen's a young toddler who is ready for something else. Good night. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing this with us. And good evening, young lady. Hope you enjoy the rest of your time tonight.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Please,
I will.
please provide your emails to Calvin so we can contact you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Shamali, you're welcome to stay with us. Welcome to drop off if you want. We're going to go to some other topics here. Next is actually public comments. I think Eileen's daughter perhaps made a few comments, some of the most cogent of the evening. But I don't see any other members of the public here who would like to speak, just checking to see. If not, let's move on to other business here. The agenda for the TAC meeting here. We have on the agenda the General Assembly update from Noel. At this point, that's it. The West Falls Church active transportation plan looks like that's not available till June, so we can obviously we'll need to delay that. Yes, I was thinking a little bit about perhaps having more conversations about streetlights next month, but I think more likely it'll be later than that. One thing I will say is that I'm not going to be here for the June meeting. I'm going to be unavailable, and so maybe pick a topic you don't want me involved in, or I don't know. We'll figure that out. But just as we work our topics here, one of the things I did want to talk about in terms of the May meeting, but also really it bleeds into the next topic, is how we spend our time. And so we have the focus areas we talked about with the work plan, the transit-oriented development, congestion and mitigation, trails and sidewalks, strategies and policies, and sort of other areas to monitor. Jeremy, I did see your email regarding the strategic plan, not quite ready yet. I don't want to be specific or get into things in much detail because we're getting late, as we always do. But what I would ask is commissioners to look in your areas there. Is there something that is worthy of conversation? Anything you think would be ripe for conversation? We spent a good deal of time on the active Fairfax plan last year. I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time on that this year. Although, if there are things going on that we need to look at, then please, let us know about that. So, as we talked before, very much want to try and tie our agenda into things that the commissioners feel are important. So, please do look at the focus areas that you're assigned to, responsible for, overseeing, etc. And please do come forward with things you think are worthy of discussion. So if there's any thoughts right now, happy to talk about it a little bit. If there's nothing now, that's okay. We'll talk about it, next month. But I do want to make sure that we're actually doing things that are in the work plan. And so that means we're going to have to dive into certain areas. So Kevin, yes, sir.
Two things. One, Dulles Airport. I may reach out to the contact there whose name just escaped me, even though I've had it on my mind all day.
Mm-hmm.
I had a long conversation with our planning commissioner, Mary Cortina, today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to reach out to him and see where MY is at the moment, and then I'll come back to you guys on that. But also, the second thing was I mentioned Mary Cortina, who's the transportation subcommittee chair on the planning commission. And the TAC had talked, previously for the last few years about getting together with the planning commission. And she's eager to do that. It does have to go through the vice chair of the planning commission and also the chair. And she is going to reach out to them. I have to say, I complain if we try and put on a working session meeting, the number of meetings that the planning commission has a month, it just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
So it may be as late as the fall when we can find an open date on their calendar. But for purposes of tonight, I just want to get back to the TAC and say the planning commission, at least the transportation chair, subcommittee chair, is eager to meet with the TAC.
That's good to know. That's and very encouraging. I'm actually going to bring in a little something. Well, in fact, let me before I do that, I want to see if there's any other thoughts there. That Kevin, those are both good suggestions there. We talked about the taking a trip to Dulles and all that. So I think we can orchestrate that together into a coordinated activity later in the year when we can get out there. Any other thoughts that commissioners want to voice right now about agenda items? Because right now, to be specific, in May we have one item which shouldn't take too much time. So welcome suggestions there. To add to the agenda. We'll keep looking, but also just wanted to see if folks had some thoughts. Okay.
I think, Jeremy,
Yeah.
I think I would be interested to learn more about kind of where the county is with transportation funding with the larger federal program. I know that they've been considering a number of projects. It might be helpful to understand where the county is in that process and where they're identifying projects, and then combined with that, the county's prioritization around sidewalk funding. I forget what the amount was over so many years, but I know that process has been ongoing in identifying the early projects, and so maybe that's something that could be combined with that discussion, if there's enough there, or if it's the right time.
That's an interesting suggestion. That is the kind of thing the TAC has historically done. Years ago, we were involved, even before I got here, although Kevin Roger may remember, where the TAC was involved in helping the county set some priorities with transportation funding. That's not what we're talking about right here, but certainly it is a good time. What with the Build Back Better Act being passed and things like that, to have a conversation. In fact, it almost sounds like it might be a nice compliment to Noel's conversation about the legislative update. I know it's not directly related, but perhaps we'd have a legislative update and sort of a funding priorities overview for transportation funding and sidewalk funding priorities, just to get a sense for where the county is right now.
Mike, on the first part of that, what Jeremy asked, yeah, I would agree on that as a topic. On the funding, I think he asked about ones that might involve federal funding. The second part of that, if you recall from our visit to the Board of Supervisors meeting, they have that pot of $5 million that they've asked the supervisors, which is not a lot of money, but still they've asked them for the quick hit projects. And I was called in with our trails representative to the Braddock office to look at a list that they had and to kind of make recommendations. So I don't know if Jeremy might want to touch base with his supervisor to see, where they are on that. But when it comes to sidewalks, if he's got sidewalk segments in his district that need to be connected, short ones, not expensive ones, that vehicle is out there right now, and he may want to be talking to his office about that.
Yeah, thanks.
I was just a quick question. Are you suggesting perhaps that the sidewalk funding, maybe sort of the quick hit projects, is something best done individually rather than discussed by the TAC? I don't mind that. I'm just wondering to make sure.
I think that's on its way. With I don't know what the timeline. I don't remember from our meeting, the transportation meeting at the VOS, what their timeline was, but I think the supervisors are well underway in vetting that. So I think if we put that on the agenda, we're coming in after the fact. So
okay.
My suggestion, that's individual, but feel free to correct me if I'm in error.
Well, I think there's two pieces. There's the quick hits, but then there's also, it's a multi-year program, right? And so there's some level of strategy and how the county's thinking about how to prioritize that funding. And perhaps it's just by district, but I I just don't know kind of where they're headed.
Okay. Well, there definitely is sort of difference between sort of like the sidewalk program, so to speak, and the quick hit activity, which is not necessarily just sidewalks. Obviously, could be anything that's not too expensive. So maybe we don't look at the quick hits, but we're looking at the transportation funding priorities, particularly with federal funding, and sidewalk priorities, and just ask for that. Does that sound reasonable?
I think above the 5 million, the long-term, the multi-year, you could certainly get an update on that. But I thought the first part of his suggestion was also interesting, and what, there's so many funds, so many strategic plans, constrained long-range project plan, to just get a briefing on what I think he was asking, like the major projects that maybe would be tied into federal funding.
Yeah.
That's always helpful. I think to have that. So
I agree.
On a completely different thing, it's my understanding that FCDOT and VDOT will soon be having public meetings. That their dates are not that solid yet on the results of their second look at the Richmond Highway widening. And we all have been hopeful that they would do a lot of improvements and actually do what the citizens were asking for. Apparently VDOT has not really been that flexible, but so there have been some improvements, but not. At some point, it might be a really good thing to bring in whoever we can, FCDOT, VDOT, and maybe do a lessons learned, what went right, what went wrong during this process. Because if we try to make place in other parts of the county, we're going to probably run into the same sort of headwinds. So it might be a good opportunity to do a little brainstorming and find out what did work and what didn't. But stay tuned, because I may be crying to you guys again in a month.
remember it well.
Okay.
That's right. Crawling across 13 lanes of traffic to get there. Yeah, sorry. Boom, boom.
Yeah, well, I understand it's no longer 13, it's 12.
See? We're already, cut by almost 10%.
Down one.
There we go. Okay. Well, anybody else? Well, I actually like the idea, not just because we're looking for things, we are looking for things, but I think it is actually a good topic, and I think a timely topic, and one that fits with Noel's presentation to talk about county priorities for federally funded transportation projects, and also their prioritization for sidewalk and trails funding, just to get an overview. And so, don't want the night to be too long, but I think have Noel start us off, and then we can go into the projects there a little bit. I think Calvin, we can talk about how long Noel might want for that, but I think just not too long. I think we'll be okay. And so I do ask commissioners, please look at the work plan and things, and look for areas to focus on. But I mentioned, sort of to pick up on that, I did want to sort of transition here to something in the chairman's report, which can affect the agenda, and that is Rachel Flynn invited Pete and I to participate in some interviews of planners that the county is looking to hire to help with some innovative planning activities. So one of the vendors actually was involved with the wharf, redoing the wharf. Another one, we actually just met recently, Nelson Nygaard. They were doing some of the parking study there. And the third I can't remember exactly, but they're all very capable folks. Lots of good thinking going on there. It is possible for us to perhaps bring them in and have us talk to them. Pete, I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit. Talking with Rachel afterwards. Maybe one of these vendors or combination of these vendors can look at Route 1. and just say, hey, is there any last minute, tweaks we can maybe try and make to it and stuff like that. So they're not a resource for the TAC, but they are a resource that's available to the county, and one that we can go out, coordinate activities there. So may reach out. It'll be at least a couple 3 weeks until they're on board, and we will share our work plan with them. Why not? Maybe get some thoughts for them about ways to proceed and stuff like that. So it's a little bit cheating, but I'm not above cheating or cutting off effort. Let them come to us with thoughts about how to implement some of the ideas in the work plan. We'll see how it fits in. Obviously, what the county wants to do. Rachel clearly, very involved in that, but she's open to suggestions as well too. So if there's something that sort of strikes their fancy, that strikes her fancy, perfect. We found another area to sort of focus on a little bit that's tied with stuff we've looked at. So I did want to mention that as an opportunity. And would love to have them, come in. I'll admit I'd love to be here when they do that, but I won't be an impediment there. If it turns out, if it makes sense for them to come in June, they come in June, and follow up with them afterwards, or July, or whatever the case may be. But I did want to mention that to the commissioners there, because I think there's definitely some opportunities for synergies there as well.
Is this a consulting firm that the county's hired?
There's 3 of them, and in fact, I can give you the names. They're transportation planning groups. So they do consulting work. They also design projects. So just a second here, I want to make sure I've got, because there's 3 of them, and I can only see 2 of the, okay. The Tool Design Group, Nelson Nygaard, and our Grove Slade, yes. Yeah. Yes. They're the ones, like I said, they're the ones who designed the waterfront down in DC.
Okay, were they, that my second question was, are they brought in as of right now to be looking at some specific area or project in the county, or they're just there available?
Just they're available for now, but they will have to sort of pick places to go. Not surprisingly, with both Pete and Rachel's interest in Route 1, that came up for conversation, and there might be something there. Ultimately, of course, it's Rachel's decision, but it was encouraging and gratifying that she wanted some folks from the TAC to join her there. So we continue in the cooperation, and I know if we can come up with some good ideas, she's going to be open to listening to them.
I don't suppose Rachel would be amused if I asked them how to get a streetlight fixed.
Well, I did tell her we're having a conversation about streetlights, and of course she encouraged us. But yeah, if we're able to make some progress there, it'd be another thing that I know she'd appreciate. We all would. But yeah. So there's some opportunities there, and even if they just come in and sort of tell us what they're up to or something like that, we'll figure that out. But I obviously did want to mention that to the TAC. The other thing that I wanted to mention as I move all my papers around here, we do need to decide when to have the 2021 TAC award ceremony, so we can hopefully catch up here. We had it was about 2 years for the 2020. Do the 2021 within a year. By the time we get to 2022, maybe we'll be caught up. So what I'm thinking is sometime over the summer, perhaps. The next PTC meeting is June 14th. I will not be available on June 14th, but Calvin, maybe we'll look for an opportunity at an upcoming PTC meeting to make the presentation of the 2021 TAC award.
That does bring up the question I wanted to ask.
Yes.
Which is, when do we move from Zoom or whatever application we're using back to in-person meetings?
Well, that's a very good question. When I get the agenda and I see it's remote, I say, oh, we're still remote. But I tell you, with just watching the news today and the mask mandates being struck down for for airplanes and things like that, it would not be a surprise if next month we're back in person. I'm not going to push for it. These things we sort of get told whether we can do it. If we're, and I'll ask if they say we want to go back in. There's certainly some advantages. Obviously, we've talked about being remote, but we might find that it could be as soon as next month, quite honestly. But I'm just speculating.
Right now, we are still waiting for the board to tell us when we can go back. And then now, I mean, not to go back, but we still have an option of meeting in person or online.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever the county will say that they, the state of the county of state of emergency is over, then we have to go back to meet in person. But right now, we still have the option to meet online.
Yeah.
And we're waiting for the decision whenever that happens. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I think we don't have a lot of flexibility there. There are procedures, as we talked about, for our folks who, we have to have quorum in person and others can fit remote and all that. So we'll just see. Hopefully, we'll just, it's been so long since we've been together. Everybody's going to want to be together for the first meeting, and after that, the novelty will fade and we'll be all frustrated, but we'll deal with that when the time comes. Okay. All right. Well, that's what I had for the chairman's report there. So with that, I think we can go to commissioners' updates. And what I'll do is I will go through in the order in which we've had our roll call. And so Linda Sperling, if you're still with us, anything you'd like to report? Okay. Kevin Morse.
No, just Calvin, if you make sure that we get Eileen's and Martin's address, I hope they remember, but if they don't, you could prod them. And if, Mike, maybe if you could send me Shamali's, because I can't get it off of their website.
Sure.
It's hidden on there.
Will do.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Okay. I might have both their, in fact, I think I've got both their email addresses. So what I'll do is, if I do, I will go and I'll send an email out tonight to say, hey, connecting up for our conversation, and then Kevin, you can take it from there.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Anything else, sir?
I think that's it.
Okay. Next, Kelly Westenhoff, I don't think you're with us this evening. Just checking. Okay. Roger, anything you'd like to add, sir?
No, can you hear me?
We can now.
Okay, good. I finally figured this out. I got timed out on my phone and just hung up. So I had to go back and play around with this, but I got it figured out. Darn it.
All right. Well,
I don't think I'll have this problem again. Next month I'll have a new one, but that's
next to your problem might be getting in a car and going, but we'll see about that.
all righty.
Okay. Thanks, Roger. Appreciate it. Mount Vernon, Commissioner Sitnick.
I have nothing, just a short comment that the way tonight proceeded, at first, frankly, I wasn't too optimistic, but then it seemed to evolve into a very positive meeting. So I just the way we went today night. So.
Oh, appreciate that. We were sort of start off at a slow pace, as you say. We did kind of pick up.
Yeah, well, it was. I guess people started playing nicer together towards the end.
No comment.
Okay. All right. Leave it at that, or more to say, Pete?
That's it. Other than that, to me, it ended up being a good meeting. That's all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I think it was productive too. Lee District, Commissioner Glenn, you still with us? Looks like she's dropped off. Providence District, Commissioner Hancock.
Yeah, just to follow up on Kevin's adding some help with Calvin. I think it would be good to understand the funding for the Streetlight program. Which at the end there, she seemed to suggest that maybe there hadn't been any funding for the last 15 years. I was just looking at the citizens petition or the form, and most of the links don't even work. It doesn't look like it's been updated since 2010, but that I think it would be good to know what we're doing there within the county.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. One of the issues we'll have is just sort of how much we can bite off in general, but also in sort of the Streetlight area.
Yeah, I would also say, just to push back on that a little bit, I mean, we're talking about, encouraging new technologies and programs to do that, which is great.
True.
If we're going to spend $250,000 on a program, there's neighborhoods that don't have any lights that are within walking distance to metros, and what type of improvements that we could do for people. So, there's a balance to it all in what we do. And I don't think that I'm not suggesting that one outweighs the other. But I don't think one cancels the other either.
True. And it's a very good point. There's more people in the county that, not everybody in the county has access to streetlights that probably need it. So that's a good point. Okay. Is there something in particular you want to ask them to do right now, or just sort of keep an eye as we go forward? What are your thoughts?
I would just like to understand some more data about how we're funding those programs. If there's pending requests that are coming in for other petitions that they're getting that they're just not funding, or perhaps people just aren't requesting them if they haven't funded it in 15 plus years.
Here's my thought. When Eileen and Martine get back to us with their suggested improvements, maybe that's a good time to follow up with questions about funding. I was thinking about, we're almost having like a little funding discussion at our next meeting. That's going to be our goal there. But if we add streetlight funding to that, I'm not saying you're suggesting that, but if we did, it makes it a longer meeting. And also, I think it forces Eileen and Martine to come back with us, and I don't think we need to do that yet. So maybe we can follow up with them, or actually, if you want, follow up with Eileen and Martine and see what you think. I was hesitating. I would ask maybe give them a little bit of time to give us their answers first. But certainly I wouldn't discourage you, other than my suggestion there, to follow up with them if you'd like.
Well, I think they should report back to the TAC. I mean, the request was part of that, the TAC, the question and answers, and they said that they would look into it. So I would like, not just for me, but for the entire commission.
Okay. Well, let's see what they give us.
Jeremy, is anybody identified in the county areas that are within walking distance of Metro that don't have lights?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Where does that data exist?
I mean, you have to look at the map. So, and it's not easy because they don't include communities that are privately managed. Like if a new townhouse community came in and they manage their own streetlights, those wouldn't show up on the map, but you just have to look at the map and see the layout of the lights.
I mean, because that's an approach for, funding. I don't know how and when you would bring that in, but, the TAC's not going to advocate for single family homes, isolated neighborhoods, but something that's in distance to the Metro that doesn't have streetlights. That's a valid program.
Yeah. The way my expectation, when Eileen and Martine get back to us, I hope they're able to, is that it won't include much on the new streetlights or filling in a gap there. We'll probably have to follow up again with them, I think, which we can do. which we can do. And certainly, Jeremy, I wasn't suggesting that you be the only person to talk to them, but certainly, if you wanted to or able to dive into a little more deeply and help bring that back to us, because yeah, we would like to see that, absolutely. Because as you pointed out, Kevin agrees. I think it's also it makes sense to make sure that if you're within walking distance of the metro, it's you need lights. Okay. Well, let's keep an eye on that, and we'll see what we get from Eileen and Martine, and we'll share that with the entire TAC. Ask Calvin to send that out. Then at that point, we can pursue any avenues we feel we want to. Okay. Anything else, Jeremy?
Nope, that's it for me.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Springfield District, Commissioner Thiel.
I'm good, thank you.
All right, sounds good. Sully District, Commissioner Skiles. Okay, last month was here, I guess not this month. Okay.
You and the vice chair have your work cut out there.
Well, yeah, one appearance is, well, just one appearance it turns out to be. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, Fairfax, speaking of our esteemed vice chair. Oh, Roger, I'm sorry. You do have your hand up. Did you want to say something else again? Or
I had one observation.
Yes.
If you notice in the meetings that we have, the county is very siloized, and what we have done here is we've kind of moved between these silos. This is public works, this is law enforcement, this is VDOT. And I thought tonight, while our guests may have appeared a little defensive, I think by the end of the meeting, they were willing to work with us. And I think this is an area where we can have some real value added, is that we can kind of cruise amongst these silos and try to get some of these different agencies, committees, and so on to work with each other. Because we find here that it isn't just transportation, it's land use, it's VDOT, it's this, that, or the other thing. And we've done that. And I think that's maybe something that we could kind of help brand ourselves with. That we can do that without offending people and get them on our side. We can go to bat for them sometimes. So, this is pretty, and of course it's because our chair is so diplomatic.
Try to be.
Helps too, but I think this is something we may be able to trade on to the advantage of the county. So keep that in mind. I kind of noticed we've done that sometimes.
Well, we're establishing a pattern, a history here. So yeah, I think our brand, I think that is becoming our brand, and proud of it. And I will say, the work we did with Shane Alexis not here to say this, but I've called her out in the past for bringing the safe routes to schools to us. Perfect the way that works. You brought it to us. We talked about it. We thought about doing a resolution. We decided that we'd write a letter. We did some homework. We sent the letter, and it had an effect. The Board of Supervisors is looking at it. It was on their agenda topic, on their agenda. So it's a small thing, but it's a big thing because we're able to be thoughtful about things. And yes, with some of these cross silo activities, absolutely, there's definitely a market niche there for us, to use that phrase.
Well, Roger really said what I meant to say earlier about playing nice, but Roger said it in a better way, the silos, because the silos were definitely there at the beginning, but by the end of the meeting, the silos were breaking down, and that's why I thought it was such a good meeting.
Yeah.
Well, it was, and I think that there's nothing we can do about the silos. This is the way it's organized. But if we could somehow move between those silos, because we attract different people, we have land use here, we have law enforcement here, we have schools here, like safe routes to school. We're going to be crossing these kind of jurisdictional lines.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a lot of contacts with different people within the county government or even the state government, as far as that goes. And we can do it without stepping too hard on their toes and get them to work with us. We've accomplished a lot.
Agree. And I know our esteemed vice chair is ready for her her responsibility here at the end of the meeting. But the last thing I'll just quickly mention though is, yes, they were siloed, but also they were, because of their silos, because of where they weren't able to think about other things. It's just that's the way things are. And so by having the conversation with them and helping show them there might be other ways. Oh, so maybe we can do some things differently. So you're right, Pete. I think I saw that too, and it was very, very gratifying to have them, participate with us in trying to make it better. So that was very encouraging. Okay, to our esteemed vice chair, Commissioner Mary Pauline Jones. Anything to say before you do the deed?
No, just a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor to adjourn, seconded. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, better not, please say nay. We are adjourned at 10:11 p.m.